In the 1780s, Pierre Caron de Beaumarchais wrote a series of plays that were a prelude to the French Revolution. They were immensely popular, but only could be performed privately because they had been banned. Mozart had no interest in anything political, and writing an opera based on a Beaumarchais play never crossed his mind. His landlord, Naphtali Wetzlar, introduced him to a successful Italian librettist named Lorenzo da Ponte. Da Ponte was the son of a Venetian Jew who converted to Catholicism when he remarried after his wife died. It was the landlord, one of the few Jewish barons, who suggested that Mozart and da Ponte write an opera together based on the Beaumarchais play The Marriage of Figaro. The opera had to eliminate all the overtly political parts of the play to get it approved by the censors. It is a comedy of manners with the classical unity of time and place. It all takes place at the palace of the Count Almaviva in the course of a single day. The subtitle of the opera is La Folle Giornata, or The Crazy Day. Very appropriate. Never before had an opera been written which so brilliantly portrays such an amazing group of characters in such an amazing and meaningful story. In the opera, essentially, two battles take place. One is the battle between the classes. The other is the battle between the sexes. Both of these battles are alive today, albeit in different forms. There were so many encores at the premiere that the emperor decreed that nothing with more than one singer could be encored. When it was produced in Prague, with Mozart conducting, he wrote, "Here they talk of nothing but Figaro. Nothing is played, sung, or whistled than Figaro." Overtures were usually made up of themes from the opera, just like they do in Broadway musicals. But Mozart had something better in mind. He created a standalone piece of music that is still being performed in symphony concerts. The music is helter-skelter and is as exciting as the opera that will follow. It begins quietly, and it represents the intrigues which we will observe as the opera proceeds. Figaro, servant to Count Almaviva, is about to marry Susanna, the Countess's maid. He measures a room for her bed. But Susanna is concerned that the room is too close to the Count's chamber. She explains to Figaro that Almaviva is pursuing her.
Se a caso, madama, la notte ti chiama, madama ti chiama, din din, din din, in due passi da quella puoi gir. Vien poi l'occasione che vuol il padrone, che vuol il padrone. Don, in tre salti pian piano.
Figaro vows to thwart the Count's plans. That a servant would think that way was really shocking. In operas before this, a character like Figaro would have been a stereotypic clownish fellow. But now he is something new, a middle-class person. He is the first character in opera that audiences of today can identify with.
Se vuol ballare, signor Contino, se vuol ballare, signor Contino, il chitarrino le suonerò, il chitarrino le suonerò, sì, le suonerò, sì, le suonerò.
Once Figaro leaves, Dr. Bartolo and Marcellina enter. Marcellina is angry at Susanna for stealing Figaro away from her, while Bartolo is angry at Figaro for making a fool of him in the past.
La vendetta, oh la vendetta, nel piacer servato ai saggi.
Marcellina and Susanna are sarcastically polite with one another until Marcellina and Bartolo leave. Cherubino, a young page, enters, seeking advice from Susanna. Count Almaviva caught him alone with the gardener's daughter, Barberina, and he is now to be sent away. He is besotted by all women, he explains, and cannot help himself. Before Susanna can offer advice, they are interrupted by the arrival of Almaviva himself. Cherubino hides while Almaviva attempts to set up a tryst with Susanna. The Count himself is forced to hide when yet another voice is heard at the door. It is Don Basilio, the music teacher, who references Cherubino's supposed crush on the Countess. In a rage, the Count reveals himself to an amused Basilio. He states that he is sending Cherubino away.
Cosa sento? T'assonnate e scacciate il seduttor. T'assonnate e scacciate il seduttor. Il mal son qui giunto. Perdonate, o mio signor. Ma da me fo preso ancor. Come, da tua cugina l'uscio ier trovavi inchiuso. Io Apre Barbarina paurosa fuor dell'uso. Io calmo senza aspettito, quando cerco in ogni sito, ed alzando pianino il tappeto al tavolino ed il taccio. Cosa vecchio? Meglio ancora.
Almaviva is fuming, as Cherubino has overheard him propositioning Susanna. He vows to get rid of the lad by giving him a military commission. Figaro returns, accompanied by festive townspeople. He asks the Count to join him and Susanna in marriage. Almaviva stalls him. Figaro tells Cherubino about army life.
Non vedrai farfallone amoroso, notte e giorno d'intorno girando, delle belle incurvando il riposo, narcisetto arancino d'amor. Delle belle incurvando il riposo, narcisetto arancino d'amor. Non più avrai questi bei pennacchini, quel cappello leggero e galante, quella chioma, quell'aria brillante, quel verniglio d'onesto color, quel verniglio d'onesto color. Non più avrai tra guerriere e caparbacco, gran mustacco, stretto sacco, schioppo in falla, sciabla al fianco, volo dritto, muso franco, un gran casco, un gran turbante, molto onor, poco contante, poco contante, poco contante. Ed invece del fandango una marcia per il fango, per montagne, per valloni, con le nevi e foglioni al concerto di tromboni, di bombarde e di cannoni che le palle in tutti i tuoni all'orecchio fanti schiar. Non più avrai quei pennacchini, non più avrai quel cappello, non mi avrai quella chioma, non mi avrai quell'aria brillante.
In Countess Rosina's chambers, the Countess grieves for the loss of her husband's love and attention. She and Susanna discuss Almaviva's roving eye. The Countess believes her husband no longer loves her, while Susanna wants him to leave her alone. Susanna tells the Countess that she and Figaro have a plan. Almaviva will receive a letter from Basilio informing him that his wife has taken up a lover. At the same time, Susanna will set up a rendezvous with Almaviva, but will send a disguised Cherubino in her place. Cherubino enters with a song of love for the Countess and a commission letter that the Count forgot to seal. He is taken aback when the women begin to undress him. When they hear the Count at the door, they have time to hide Cherubino in a closet. Susanna also manages to hide. The Count wants to speak with his wife about the letter from Basilio, which was written and planted by Figaro. Noticing the Countess's agitation, Almaviva is instantly suspicious and suspects Cherubino is in a locked closet. She tells him no, it is Susanna in there. He jealously demands entry into the closet, but the Countess refuses to open it, claiming Susanna is in there trying on her wedding dress.
Susanna, che sortite? Sortite così va?
Almaviva takes the Count with him and leaves the room to go get a crowbar. After they leave, Susanna locks herself into the closet and Cherubino exits the Countess's chamber through the window because the Count locked the door when they went to get the crowbar. Unaware of the switch, the Countess confesses everything to her husband upon their return. This is the finale of Act 2, which may be the greatest piece of vocal ensemble writing ever. During its 20 minutes, the tide turns back and forth between the Count's team and Figaro's team. It can be divided into 7 segments, each one in a different key. Each time the Figaro team scores a point, there is either a flat removed or a sharp added. Each time the Count's team scores a point, a flat is added or a sharp removed. The Count is about to open the door by force when Susanna emerges. They both thought it was Cherubino in there. Figaro arrives to gather up the group for the wedding.
Signori di fuori son già I suonatori, le trombe sentite, I pifferi udite, tra canti, tra balli, nei nostri vassalli. Vogliamo le nozze compie, vogliamo le nozze compie. Conoscete, signor Figaro, questo foglio di vergogna. Conosco.
He is followed by Antonio the gardener, who is upset that someone jumping from the Countess's balcony has crushed his flowers.
Ah, signora, cosa è stato? Che incidente che petti che fu? Ascoltate, parla di Tabacconi che qua in giardino, nelle cose non diti tanteggio, e poi canti bagassi di peggio, che di non si non mi ho dittaggio. Alla coni vede di cavo fari in giardino. Sì, cosa sento?
Upon prompting from the women, Figaro claims it was he who jumped. He had been afraid because of that troublesome letter that they had sent the Count.
Salta giù dal terrore confuso e stravolto mon nervo del piede.
Cherubino had dropped the military commission when he jumped, and Antonio had picked it up.
Sarà questi campi che perderà, ordine a me, solo in trappola.
Marcellina, Bartolo, and Basilio enter.
Oh, il signor sono venuti a vendicarmi, e io ti seguo. Con costari di tre passi, cosa mai vengono a far?
Almaviva, still suspicious, hears their claim that Figaro is obliged to marry Marcellina to pay off an outstanding debt. A little while later, the Countess wants to trap her husband by getting Susanna to agree to meet him that evening in the garden. She goes to see him and tells him that. He is, of course, thrilled.
Crudel perché finora farmi languir così, perché crudel farmi languir così.
He, once again, asks her to meet him in the garden, and she agrees.
Mi sento dal contento, pieno di gioia il cor. Mi sento dal contento, pieno di gioia il cor. Dunque in giardin verrai,
in viaggio vuoi verrò,
e non mi mancherai.
non mi mancherò.
Verrai,
Sì.
non mancherai,
No.
dunque verrai.
No.
No!
Se piace a voi verrò.
On her way from the room, the Count overhears Susanna tell Figaro that his legal troubles will soon be over. He is furious at the apparent deception.
Hai già vinta la causa? Cosa sento? In qual laccio io caddea? Elfi, io voglio tal modo ponermi. E ben fin van desio, e forse ne dovrà, vedo per van d'amore, unit con figlio getto, mi vedesto un affetto, che per me poi non ha, che per me poi non ha. Ma non lasciarti in pace, non questo contento, tu non acesti audace, tu non acesti audace, per dare a me tormento, e forse ancor per ridere di mia infelicità. Ma la speranza sola e le vedette mie, questa mi la consola, e giubilar mi fa, e giubilar mi fa. Ah, che lasciarti in pace, non l'ho questo contento, tu non acesti audace, per dare a me tormento, e forse ancor per ridere di mia infelicità. Ma la speranza sola e le vedette mie, questa mi la consola, e giubilar mi fa, e giubilar mi fa, e giubilar, e giubilar mi fa, e giubilar mi fa, e giubilar mi fa.
In her grand da capo aria, the Countess looks back at happier days. As a countess, she is ashamed of being so dependent on her maid. Just like the Count's aria expresses his chagrin about Figaro, a mere servant, being preferred by Susanna to him. Marcellina and Bartolo, their attorney Don Curzio, in tow, confront Figaro. The Count has heard Marcellina's case and decided in her favor. Figaro must marry her because he didn't pay that debt. But Figaro has come up with a reason why that is not possible. He reminds them that he is a foundling and his basket was found filled with jewels and other objects which prove he was of noble birth. That means he needs to get permission from his missing parents to get married. Not only that, but he has a unique birthmark which shows he is of nobility. This may seem preposterous, but stuff like this was common then in comic operas. But there's more. Marcellina recognizes the birthmark. He is the long-lost son of Bartolo and her. This family reunion brings joy to everyone, except, of course, the Count.
Padre mio, fate lo stesso, non mi fate più arrossir. Resistenza alla coscienza, far non lascia il tuo desir. E suo padre son smarrito, e la sua madre son stordito, Rimene non sai di cosa dir. E suo padre figlio amato, son smarrito, son chiamati. Figlio amato,
This was Mozart's favorite number of all in his operas. As the group leaves, Susanna stays behind to speak to the Countess. The Countess dictates a letter from Susanna to the Count. She plans to surprise Almaviva in the garden herself. She will dress up in Susanna's clothes, and Susanna will dress up in hers. Figaro returns to gather everyone for the wedding. When the dancers arrive and Figaro joins them, the Count reminds him of his injured foot, because he already knows that it was Cherubino that jumped from the window and not Figaro. Figaro insists that doesn't mean that he didn't also jump, and tells the Count not to dispute what he doesn't know. This is said very boldly, and Napoleon once declared that this moment was the start of the French Revolution. During the dancing, Susanna slips the Count her letter. The act ends with everyone praising the Count for his wisdom and generosity, a sarcasm that isn't lost on anyone. final act. It is night and in the garden. The Count has given that pin to Barberina to give to Susanna to confirm that he will meet her there in the garden that night. But she has lost it.
L'ho perduto, mia meschina, ma chissà dove sarà, oh chissà dove sarà. Non la trovo, l'ho perduto, meschinella, chissà dove sarà.
Her little aria is a wonderful example of how Mozart could get inside the mind of even a 12-year-old girl and create music that is as meaningful to her dismay as he would write for an adult with a much more significant lamentation. Then, when she innocently tells Figaro that the pin was from a note that the Count got from Susanna, he is totally devastated.
Oh, Susanna! Susanna, quanta pena mi costi con quell'ingenua faccia, con quegli occhi innocenti. Chi creduto l'avria, ma che il fidarsi a donna è ognor follia. Aprite un po' quegli occhi, uomini incauti e sciocchi, guardate queste femmine, guardate cosa son, guardate cosa son, guardate cosa son. Queste fiate dagli ingannati sensi, a cui tributa incensi la debole ragion, la debole ragion, la debole ragion. Son sirene che cantano per farci penare, sirene che cantano per farci affogare, civette che allettano per trarci le piume, comete che brillano per toglierci il lume. Son rose spinose, son volpi vezzosi, son orse benigne, colombe maline, maestri d'inganni, amiche d'affanni che fingono, mentano amore, non sento pietà, non sento pietà, no, il resto non dico, già ognuno lo sa.
Susanna is tired of Figaro's lack of trust in her, so she pretends she's in love with the Count. As they leave, the Countess and Susanna appear, each dressed as the other. Cherubino is also in the garden, meeting with Barberina. He spies the Countess and, thinking she is Susanna, leans in to kiss her. Instead, he kisses Almaviva, who swats Figaro. The Count declares his love for Susanna, who is really the Countess. As he leads her off, she remarks that the place they're going to is very dark, and he assures her that they won't be reading. Figaro is now convinced that he is being betrayed by Susanna. Susanna forgets to disguise her voice, and Figaro figures out it is she under the Countess's cloak. But he pretends he thinks it is the Countess to trick her a little.
Ah, se madama vuole,
Sofia Macabarone,
madama,
Sofia Macabarone.
eccomi ai vostri piedi, ho pieno il cor di fogo, esaminate il loco, pensate al traditor.
The Count thinks it's his wife with Figaro and calls everyone to be witness.
La trama scoperta e la trama, la perdita è qua, la perdita è qua.
Perdono, perdono.
No, non celarlo, perdono, perdono, no, non può darlo.
But then the real Countess unmasks herself to everyone's shock. Almaviva is shamed, and he apologizes to his wife for both his jealousy and his infidelity. The crazy day has run its course, and everyone is ready to continue celebrating the marriage of Figaro.